Hello, welcome to another episode of Invitation to a Conversation. Please excuse my voice. I've been going through whatever this week, and so I hope this is the end of it. And so I hope everyone else has a blessed week. At the end of this video, please subscribe, like the page, and leave a comment. My guest today is Nicholas Clark of Firm Incorporation. Good morning, Mr. Clark. How you doing?
Good morning. I'm good. And yourself?
I'm good. Is it cold where you at? You look all bundled
Man,
up.
you know what? It is. It's cold. It's actually, I think here in Atlanta, I think it's like 50 degrees today. But I'm in the house. Sometimes I just throw a hoodie on. It may not be super cold. I just got a hoodie on, but it's pretty cold today. I was gonna cut my grass, but it's actually too cold to go outside and cut grass. So I think the high today is 60, maybe 60. But we're
How
tiptoeing about 47 today.
cutting grass down here in Brunswick is over with, okay?
We got about you got about see with us, that's one of them badges of honor that I take on as a man. You know, my grandfather used to do that, so I love cutting grass. So I got to get about one more cut in before the winter hits, just to make sure I'm right to take me through the winter.
Okay. You are a native of Brunswick, but you live in Atlanta now. What high school did you graduate from?
So I graduated from the Brunswick High School. The Brunswick High School. You know, it's no other high school in Brunswick. So I don't know what other high school they're talking about. So it's only one.
We're not gonna go there.
Nah,
Okay.
I got a lot of love for a lot of terrorists. So I mean, I'm cool. I like to joke with, it's always a good friendly joke. But I have a lot of friends who went to GA, so I have much respect for GA. But I went to Brunswick High. I think the better one of the two.
Okay. You worked 25 years with underserved communities. What does that consist of, and why you got interested in serving underserved communities?
So my previous role, for years I've worked in the Department of Recreation. So I've been in recreation for years. I tell people all the time, they think I may not look it, but I've been in recreation since I was 14. I'm 42 now. So I'm 42. I've been there since I was 14. I got involved in it because I just cared about, I knew what it did for me. I knew what it did for me. I knew that was always a safe place. There's always a place I could go. And my mother being a single mother and just working, sometimes I had to go there. My father working. So you had to go there. So I understood the importance of a rec center. So with me, I wanted to give back because I know kids need that. So I've worked in those communities. And sometimes too, the most, I guess, valued in those communities, because I think sometimes you have people that come there and they don't care. And one thing I've always done, even when I managed a couple facilities, I would never let vendors come in if they were just there for a short term. Because my thing was, I did not want to play with some of these kids, because being in that environment, you don't really let a lot of people in your space. And when you finally do let people in your space, you don't want them to come in and go out. So if they're not committed to the work, I didn't want them there, because I felt like those are my kids. I felt like I was that kid. Like I would be committed to whoever was serving me when I was a kid. So I wanted to offer that same level of service to them. And I just wanted to be in a place where I felt like my work was meaningful. It was needed. And I think in our community too, we need to see more men. So that even kind of, triggered me to the space I'm in now, but just wanting to help, just feeling like truly like, not to cut you off, I'm sorry. My grandfather always used to say, like, I knew I was put here to be a servant, to serve the people. So that's how I've always looked at it.
And we're all put here to be a servant. We just got to find out what that servant particular job is to each individual human who's here on earth. And as you said, when you work in these underserved communities, they have some of the same needs you have is going up. They may not have been the same direct needs that you needed, but you knew that some of them were the same, and they needed to trust people and feel safe and have somebody to give them that space to voice their opinions or how they were feeling.
Yes,
That's good.
So
That's good. How did you come up with Firm?
Man, the name or just the whole journey?
What does Firm stand for anyway? That's the acronym, but what does Firm stand for?
So FIRM is an acronym for Fathers Inspired, Restored, and Motivated. So that's kind of, and I guess we'll dive a little deep into that, but I didn't know if you wanted me to discuss how I came up with the name or just how I came up with the whole, I guess, thing in general.
Both.
Okay. I don't even know how I stumbled across, I think with the name Firm, I think when I think of firm, I just think of something that's solid. So when I was thinking about things, I was kind of throwing around, okay, I wanted something that felt that it was going to be sustainable, something that kind of meant power, something that just, so I had so many names I was throwing around. In some type of way, I just started playing around with acronyms. And so I knew I felt like I wanted to inspire because I felt like we needed inspiration. And all of us need that. I felt like I wanted to restore. So restoring us back to the place where we were recognized as great and we were just celebrating. We really took pride and joy in that role. And so many times society has damaged us as men. We feel like we're broken a little bit. So wanting to restore that brokenness. But then too, the motivation. Just wanted to motivate you, like, hey, if you're going through something, hey, we got something for you. Here's something for you. Stay encouraged, brother, because this is a marathon, not a sprint. And through this race, it's going to be a lot of ups, it's going to be a lot of downs. But we just have to stay committed to the process. So it just kind of came. I can't exactly say where. I just knew I wanted to create. I knew, again, something solid. So that's kind of where it came from. That's all I pretty much can say about it, because I don't have an origin to say like, oh, it came from this place, and they're just throwing around different things.
But being firm, and like you said, meaning something solid. That is, if you stay firm on this, you know what I'm saying, we can go further into that. Yes. What is your purpose for it? I mean, for each letter in your acronym, what does that mean? And it's very necessary because, as you know, females have thousands of sisterhood groups to go to across the spectrum. Mental health, parenting, starting all over again, everything from A to Z. So what is your idea? Is it going through the same thing of A to Z through the alphabets with the men, or is your all's restoration and motivation different?
The purpose honestly is to change the narrative of fatherhood, and just to reclaim a place where we've always been, and just truly inspire fathers to understand that you're needed. Because again, you know it like I know it. When fathers are in homes, we change families, we change communities, we change schools. And it's a reason why sometimes it feels like we're not wanted there, but we're not wanted because we make that change. And I think that's kind of our role in purpose. Our purpose is just to inspire you to see the greatness within yourself, and to understand that your children need you. We always tell our dads all the time, to your kids, you're a superhero. You're that everything. So never downplay that. Never downplay that. But again, to restore is just to bring us back to where we need to be. And not saying we were gone. Please don't believe what they tell you that we were gone, because we were not gone. It's just overly celebrating fatherhood, just putting it back out there, let you know, hey, there's dads out here who are really committed, who are active, and who want to be great fathers. Some of these guys are first-time fathers. So restoring even some of that brokenness and just getting back again to the place of greatness and where we need to be. And again, motivating you, encouraging you, sharing these stories and collective wisdom through the workshops and through the podcast, so that dads can hear that. Because much like you said, women have all types of support groups. Men really don't have a lot. And then the sad thing about us as men, the support group that we do have, we don't want to do them because of our egos. We feel like, hey, I'm a man, I got it, I don't need support. And one thing I can tell you about sisters is that they're always seeking ways to be a better person to the people they serve or the people they just encounter in general. And so challenging men to do that as well, because we have to learn to put our egos to the side for our families. So that's that motivation. So even with us, I think when you see us, you just see brothers that you can relate to. And when you see myself and Charles, we come in and do workshops, we're dressed in our hoodies, we're dressed in our baseball caps, our jeans. So we don't want you to feel like if you walk in and wear a suit, you're like, I can't even be in this room, because I don't have that. I don't see myself in that. But I want you to feel relatable. It's kind of like, I'm not going to say I hate to. It's kind of like church. We really want you to come as you are. Truly want you to come as you are. Because we don't want to feel, I don't care if you're not in your kid's life or you're an active father. We just want you there. And we want to motivate you through the process. Because again, it gets hard. I'm not supposed to tell you it's days where sometimes you feel like, hey, why am I here? Do they need me? So just motivate you.
And for so many years, it's been that stereotype that men don't cry,
Mm.
or men don't show your feelings. And if you do show your feelings, you're showing your feminine side of your feelings. And so I think this is a open space for men to get over that. We in the past, women and men, especially men in the past, if they had little sons and that boy fell and hurt himself and he cried, they would say, "Don't cry, wipe it off, but let them cry, let them cry."
And
Because they have feelings too at a
yes,
young
ma'am.
age. And if they can't express them like their little sister or whatever, then they grow up suppressing those things, and
Yes,
they
ma'am.
don't know how to verbalize it as they get older.
Yes.
So are you facing some of those issues?
Oh yes, we are. And it's crazy you even said that because I tell the dads all the time, you can't say you're a man if you're not able to be vulnerable.
Mm,
See, that's when you tap into your super strength.
mm,
Because being a man and being able to be vulnerable, that's next level. Because most men can't. And I always say, man, you have to be at a place, if you call yourself a man and truly call yourself a man, you have to be able to be vulnerable. Because that vulnerability allows you to get out some of your pain, some of your hurt, and just to express yourself. Because sometimes, again, like you just touched on, we're taught as young boys, hey, don't shit, don't cry. Boys don't do that. So ultimately, you grow up to hold all this in. And when you get married or you get a partner, you don't know how to communicate because you've always suppressed everything. Society's made you feel like if you share, you're weak or you're soft. So you
mm,
battle with those demons. And like I
mm,
said, too, your family ultimately suffers from that. It's nothing wrong with you if something makes you happy, you cry about it. Something makes you sad, you cry about it.
mm,
I'm overly transparent too. I tell them too, vulnerability and being transparent. But
mm,
I shared with them even the other day. It's times to where I know what journey I've been through as a father. I could see my daughter going to school, and I just may start crying tears because she's getting it. I see the heart. I see the fruits of the labor. So it
mm,
it hits a little different. And sometimes you have to cry to just crying ain't always painful. Sometimes it's joy, just like encouragement. Like, man, I did it. I did it.
mm,
And you have to celebrate those moments, but you have to be able to be vulnerable. And I think I tell moms, don't tell young men they can't cry. Let them cry.
mm,
Okay, baby,
mm,
shake it off. Okay, well, you got it. You okay? You good? Let them
mm,
get because that's learning how to express an emotion. Create lines of open communication.
mm,
So and that's what we even talked about yesterday. Like our conversation yesterday was the art of communication. Some of that
mm,
is learning how to express unexpected expectations,
mm,
learning how to share your feelings. So if I'm hurt that I didn't get to see my child, hey, I was kind of looking forward to my weekend. Can you please not, plan stuff on my weekend? There's nothing wrong with that. Because sometimes we don't communicate that. Then you really want to say that. Then ultimately, all everybody sees is your reaction. Oh, I saw dad get mad, but nobody looked at he was mad because he didn't get his time or something like that. So he didn't know how to handle it. He just acted out. You know?
and let's break it down to different selections of things that men go through, like women go through, that are ignored. The other one is, let me think, I'm getting ready to forget it now. Oh, when there are little boys and little girls playing, they tell the little boy, don't hit the little girl. And so the little girl,
Mhm.
some of them grow up hitting men.
Yeah,
You,
yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Abusing men, and they can't hit them back. So they come with these anger issues, or they may have anger issues, and then by them not hitting a female back, that enhances that anger. You
Yes,
know.
yes,
So
ma'am.
what do you say about that?
I'm big on, you just don't put your hands on anybody. Everybody keeps their hands
Mhm.
to themselves.
That-
And if you have to get to the point where you're communicating with physical violence, we probably need to remove ourselves from the situation. It should
mhm,
never get to that point. And we have to realize too, we have to learn how to properly communicate. You cannot
mhm,
control another person. It's not, it's in no time is it justifiable for anybody to put their hands on anybody. And I especially tap into that with my daughters because I think some of the space, even what you just shared, girls will hit guys and it's like, okay, you're not supposed to hit a girl back. I tell them, we're not going to hit nobody. I'm not going to
mhm,
give you a pass, especially as your father, to go around and be emotional vigilante because you feel like I'm a girl, I can do this. No, we're not going to hit anybody because if somebody puts their hands on you, I have a problem with it. And if you put your hands on someone, I'll have a problem with it. So we're just
mhm,
not going to do that. And if it gets to that point, you walk away, you just revisit that conversation at a later time.
mhm, mhm. And the other thing is, um, fathers being more present for school activities. You know, there was a day and time where the woman was at home and the man had to work. So the man very seldom went to the school and the woman had to do it. So now both are working, and maybe they can alternate and take turns or go together. So is that something that y'all are working on to see that this happens more, even from pre-K? I mean, early pre, 3-year-olds on up.
Yes, ma'am. That's one of the great things. I can't even just a major shout out to Glenn County Schools, Dr. Green, Miss Miller. We've definitely been working close with the superintendents there. So they've overly invested in the parent engagement. And so with that, we're starting doing dads and donuts and a lot of dad walks down there. So major shout out to Burroughs Millette, Glendale, Goodyear, and Altama. We're actually facilitating at those schools. You're seeing a major turnout in the dads. I mean, you're seeing a lot of dads. And even yesterday we did a session. It was over 50 dads there. It was standing room only. I mean, we're facilitating, and the whole time I'm thinking, man, are they gonna stop coming in? Even though I want them to keep coming in, I'm like, we don't have enough room for them. But I mean,
Right.
they were there and they stayed the whole time. And every school we go to, a lot of the schools, and this is what people are not telling everybody. A lot of schools say, man, they see more dads bringing kids to school than anybody.
Well, so is it the case that they are single father dads, or they just choose to take their kids to school more than the mother does sometimes, or they just rotate?
I think it's a little mixture of all, but I think honestly, I think you have a lot of parents that they rotate, because I think even you want to understand the other side too. So you want to be able to take them to school and pick them up. So you want to be able to do both, because I think that's good for the child to say, hey, mom takes me sometimes, dad takes me sometimes. So it's a good balance. Now you have some dads that are single fathers, so they're kind of stepping into that role of the lead parent, and you have some, excuse me. So you have a little mixture. You have a little mixture. Like we've encountered some dads that recently their child's mother has passed, so dad is taking on every side of that role. You have dads to where you have situations where the parents do a phenomenal job of co-parenting. So maybe you take them 2 days a week, I'll take them 3, and the next week we'll rotate or something like that. And you have married couples to where, hey, maybe it's better in her schedule to drop them off and it's better in yours to pick them up, or vice versa. So you are seeing that, and it is a lot of that going on.
Has
Especially
the
even, I
nu-
mean, not just in Glen, just even here in Atlanta, you're seeing a lot of that.
has the number of single fathers grown? Are women actually choosing to not raise their kids and have their father raise their kids, the children, whether it be a female or male?
Um, I think the number of single fathers or custodial fathers have because I'm not gonna say single, I'm just gonna say custodial fathers. I think the number of custodial fathers have definitely increased. I remember when I first went to court, it was like unheard of for a dad to get custody of his kids. That was like almost like, wow, this had to be a really bad situation.
Mhm.
My partner Charles, he always refers to me as like the black superhero, because I'm a custodial father. So I have custody of my 9-year-old daughters. I have a 13-year-old and a 9-year-old. I've had my 13-year-old since she was 3. So I truly believe, like even like me, I'm a walking testimony that dads can do it. But you have a lot of dads that are getting custody now, that are raising their kids.
Mhm. Are they? Let me see what I wanted to say. What are the ages of the fathers? What's the oldest and the youngest that you have
Age.
right now?
So during some of the sessions, I think we've seen dads as young as 19. We've seen dads as old as 70. And even, I mean, you got some dads that have, yeah, you got some older dads that are having kids.
70.
Yeah, 70, 70. I mean, but so you haven't, now let me say this, dads that are 17 to 70. But then also you're getting a lot of granddads that are stepping in. They're having to be the parent, because now maybe mom or dad are not in the picture. So now this whole dynamic is changing a lot. You're having a lot of dads that are taking on that, granddads that are taking on that role. You have uncles that are taking on the roles.
Excuse me, I'm
Oh,
sorry
you're
for
good.
that.
You're good.
So do you think now that more men are taking the roles of raising their kids, that the conversation can be more understood with men now about what women were going through as single mothers?
Man, you said something then. I was It's funny you said that because I was telling dads, I say sometimes, because we have this conversation, a session we do called Put Yourself in My Shoes. So we try to get dads to look at things from a mom's shoes. And I was telling them I had a better appreciation or a greater appreciation for my oldest daughter's mother when I became a custodial parent. Because I said, wow, it's a lot that goes into this. And I think dads don't see that. I said, sometimes, it's doctor's appointments, it's school activities, it's, hey, when they're sick, taking care of them, picking them up, taking them up, dropping them off. I mean, it's so many moving parts. And I think sometimes you don't know that because you're not in that space. And I said, then too, you wonder why she's mad. Sometimes she's mad because you don't even want to come pick them up, And it's like, just give me a break. Like, just call me and say, hey, I'm gonna pick them up from school today. You just go get your nails done. I got the kids. I'll meet you later on with the kids, especially if you're co-parenting. I'll meet you later on. I'll make sure they have dinner and a bath, and I'll drop them back off to you. So you go ahead and do something for you. I said, so sometimes that's where the frustration and the rage comes in. So I said, that's why you have to extend a high level of empathy and grace, because it's like, she's mad. And she's not mad with you. She just need a break. Because sometimes we all need a break if you're a parent. We all need a break. And so, ma'am, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, and so I talk to them about sometimes even when I had a dad say, man, I pay a $200 a month in child support. I say, hey, man, you ain't getting enough. You ain't getting enough. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting enough. I said, I'm telling you, you're not giving enough. I said, because you just don't understand that's a full-time job. Being a parent, that's a full-time job. And you have to put a high level of respect on that. And I think when I got in that role, I just embraced it. And I truly said, okay, I have to make sure that I'm a vessel too while I'm facilitating workshops to dads. I have to also get them to look at things too from the other standpoint, because I've had the luxury of being, I like to say the driver and the passenger. So I've been I'm the driver in one situation and I'm the passenger in another situation. So I know how to work in both those spaces.
And now you know why some people have headaches at the end of the day now, right?
They have headaches, but I'm gonna tell you this though. I often tell people this too. Why would that's why they have headaches at the end of the day, but I don't understand why people keep their children away from the other person. Because I'm like, man, you just want to do this by yourself. So you never want to break. I would let him or her go with her father or mother anytime. I need a break. Go with your dad, go with your mom. I need a break. I'm not going to keep a child away from you because of selfish reasons. I want a break.
And they have to understand that even though, and a lot of times, because I was a single mother, and when you have your own job, 9 to 5 too, you got to get up early, dress the kids and compare to how many you have. Then you got to drop them off if they're not riding the bus. Then you got to come home, help with homework, help with dinner, give them a bath. And that's exhausting. And so, right. And so the other thing was that I want to touch into is child support. So now you got the child support and you said $200 is not enough. Okay. But everybody's is different based on their lifestyle. And sometimes they have to understand that child support does not, are they learning now that child support does not directly go to that child? That child support covers household utilities, it covers the the rent, the mortgage, whatever may be, that to keep that child comfortable in a household.
Yeah. I think the child support is always a touchy one. Even like I was referencing, I said the $200. The dad said he gave me the amount he made. He made almost like 6 figures. So it's like $200, bro. It ain't doing it.
Wait a minute. No, not almost 6 figures. He giving somebody $200.
Yeah.
And so do you think that sometimes men go by the lifestyle the woman had if he already, now let me go back and say this. If he didn't already have 6 figure when he created that child, and they were living underneath 6 figure, but now he's making 6 figure and that woman isn't. Sometimes they like to stay within where that woman's lifestyle is when he met her, opposed to what he's making now. Am I saying it right? You understand what I'm saying?
I kind of understand. I understand what you're saying. child support is a sticky one, especially in the state of Georgia. Georgia is one of the states to where you can pay child support and still not have rights. So you got, I mean, so that's one of those things. Well, let me go back and say this. Let me start by saying this. I have mixed feelings about child support. I tell people all the time. Child support is one of the only few systems that base your payment off of what you gross. Nothing else in our life do we buy based upon what we gross. We all buy things based upon what we net. So you look at what you bring home. And I think that's what child support should really look at, because I may gross, I'm gonna say $5,000. No, I'm gonna say I gross $1,200 every week. Just say, for instance, I'm just gonna use a regular number. But I may bring home $700, but I'm paying child support based upon $1,200.
Right.
That puts me in a major hole out of the gate. Because say, for instance, I bring home $7, but you make me pay child support for $500 a month. So now cut my check and I'm bringing home maybe a little under $4 something a month. How do I then, $4 something per pay period, and I get paid twice a month. So maybe $900 a month. How do I survive off of $900 a month? That's not doable. So some dads are in that space already, or I'm not even say dads, because women are on child support too. Some people are in that space with a level of frustration anyway, because I know this system may say, hey, you can get this much money, but on the other end is the other parent. I may look and say, yeah, but that's gonna cause a real economic hardship. He or she ain't gonna be able to do nothing with a child when they come over. What are they going to be able to do? I can take less and still allow them to be able to do something. So some of that comes in because the system is just not fair. And then when you look at that system, you go into this system, you can you have to get legitimized to be recognized as the father, but you can pay child support you can still pay child support. But then, say for instance, I'm put on child support, I don't have visitation rights. So now you're telling me I have to go back now and get a lawyer to get visitation rights and to be recognized. That's not really doable, because a lot of these situations, that person is struggling to pay child support. So how am I going to get a lawyer? If we're truly talking about child support, support is more than just finances. Mm-hmm. We have to say, okay, this is a dollar amount. Okay, this is the person who's going to cover the insurance. Okay, this is visitation schedule. So we granted you joint custody, or we granted you, like I said, whatever the custody you want to award that parent. Mm-hmm. It can't be, hey, we're going to create a money system for the child. Like, hey, you're going to pay her this much a month, or pay him this much per month. But we don't guarantee you visitation. You have to work that out some other way. Mm-hmm. You can't say I'm going to walk away from that happy, because I'm furious. Mm-hmm. Any parent. Mm-hmm. But even with child support too, going back, and it's so deep we could probably talk about it for days. Going back in that space, I tell dads all the time, pay your child support. Stop worrying about how he or she spends the money. Stop. Don't even get into all that. Don't just pay it and do your part. Don't say, oh, she was at the club buying crab legs. That has nothing to do with you. Nothing to do with you. Because sometimes we spend too much energy, or we invest too much energy into the wrong things, and it ain't really going to help our mental. All this does is, technically speaking, probably make you angry, create a level of resentment, and it ain't that serious. It just ain't. And this is coming from somebody I was paying $1,200 a month. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't even I was on one of the middle ends of it. One of my friends was paying $1,800 a month for 2 kids.
Mm. Well, yeah. You said your thing is being a people's champ. Explain.
I put people's champ in my bio because I think sometimes I feel like I'm just an inspiration of hope. I just think when people see me, I'm overly transparent. So I'd say overly transparent, because some people may just say, well, you're sharing your business. And as children, we were raised like, we don't tell our business. Your business is your business. But I'm so different, because I just feel like God gives you a testimony to share. And so I never mind sharing my testimony, because I think through sharing my testimony, it helps people. And so even through this fatherhood journey, I say the champ, a people's champ, because everything that a dad can encounter, I've encountered. So I'm not talking to you as a person who doesn't know. Like when I talk about child support, I've been in the court to where mom is asking for $1,300 a month, and I'm only making years ago maybe $40,000. How am I going to give you $1,300 every month? So now I'm sitting here as a custodial parent. So I'm gonna say from the bottom to the top, I've been so low in this space to where I've thought about saying, hey man, I don't want to do this no more. It's too much of this. We can't get along. I'm just tired. I signed up to be a dad. I didn't sign up for all this drama. So I tell that, but I tell them too, I'm still a work in progress, but I can be somebody's hope, because it's a lot of men that I encounter in the space that are my hope. So that's what I would say when I say the people's champ, this person who's here for the people, wanting to be a vessel of change.
Mm-hmm. What are some of the things that in your firm organization that you do for these dads? Do you teach them how to, if some of them don't know how to manage a household, if they don't know how to do the meals, or how to raise a female child opposed to a male child? Do y'all do different activities like that?
Yes, ma'am. So we do under the firm. We started as a podcast. We started as a podcast again because we were just thinking of, or I was thinking of, hey, how can I start something? Because I never started a business, something that requires little to no cash startup, but can still be impactful. So it went on to doing workshops. So within the podcast, we cover every topic we think you can encounter during this journey. So then we started facilitating workshops. So the workshops kind of took on the same life. So a workshop may be the bag versus the bond. So we would talk to dads about chasing, you all hear the term the bag. So chasing money. So just pretty much trying to provide that in, as opposed to the bond, building that bond versus chasing money. So those are some of the topics. Then you look at being a girl dad, being a guy dad, how to I think one of my favorite sessions we did was we had a session called Balling on a Shoestring Budget. So we taught dads how to be impactful with little to no resources. Mm-hmm. Like, here's some ideas, and this is how you do this. So looking at budgeting and how do we build activities for our kids, even if we don't have the funds. Because I said that was one of the greatest gifts I learned during the child support process. Like, I think it made me tap into, again, a superpower. But we touch everything. Everything you think a father can encounter, we touch it.
And I know that people say a woman can't raise a boy child. I know they can, but I think for this program of what you're doing, I think no one cannot put it off but a man. So I thank you for coming up with this idea, because this is something that is greatly needed, because some years ago we started out with stay-at-home dads.
Yes, ma'am.
And so now you had to stay at home dads. They were getting comfortable having the woman going out working, and they stayed home with the kids and whatever, And so now we're going forward, and we're in a whole different process.
No, I thank you. I'm just glad to be able to do the work. Like, I feel like it's a blessing just for me to be able to do the work. Like I tell the dads all the time, they pour so much into me. I think they think we're pouring into them, but they're pouring so much more back into us. Because even yesterday, I was almost feeling like I was like, man, I got really emotional. I'm like, man, it's so many men here. Like, it's dads in here. Like, regardless of what people say, it's dads in here. I mean, you had all different races in that room.
And it's so awesome. This is the time for it. I'm not going to say that we've been needed 10 years ago, but this is really needed now, because there's so many missing fathers by so many different reasons and ways in the Black community also. And so I just think this is a need for it. Let's go to dads walking their kids to school. How did you come up with that, and why?
That was honestly, that was something that we wanted to do, but we actually jumped on with Burroughs Millette. So Burroughs Millette was the first school that we they had an annual dad walk. So when they found out we were doing the fatherhood work, we just partnership and kind of did it with them. The first one we did was like 80 dads. I mean, man, you had moms who walked to school, they were crying, taking pictures, videos, because it's nothing like seeing men in their community, men taking care of their kids, men walking their kids to school. I mean, we had one kid get out of his car and dad had to go to work. And I mean, the child got so mad. Like, you told me you were going to do the dad walk, Dad. Why didn't you do it? I wanted. And And I felt like the child, sometimes like you being disrespectful, but I didn't see it that way. I felt like the child was saying, Dad, I really wanted to do this with you, Dad. Like I really wanted to do this. And so one of the dads, I said, don't worry about it, I got him, and walked the child to school. But it was just phenomenal. And I think it's those kids get so excited. They look forward to that event. I mean, you're talking about kids, hey, your dad coming to the dad walk? Hey, are you coming? Because I think too, that starts their day off on a great end. To a great start. It's a great start to that day.
Mm-hmm. And to my understanding, this is not just for single dads. These are for fathers in committed relationships and marriages also. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. The walk is open to any dad. It's any dad or father figure or male figure. That it doesn't matter. It could be your mentor, could be your uncle, could be your cousin, your brother, just any male in your life that you want to have come walk you to school that day.
Oh, not for the walk, but for your whole organization. Is for any father, not just single fathers.
It's for any man. We have dads in there. We have men in there who don't have any kids. They're just trying to they're just trying to soak up some game to be better when they do have a family. And I think that's one of the things about it. So we don't require that you have kids. It's for fathers, but it doesn't exclude gentlemen who are not fathers. Grandfathers, uncles, aunts, mentors. I mean, we have everybody in the room. So it's not just, like I said, it's not just only for fathers. It's for anybody who's a father figure.
Okay. And let's delve back into Dads and Donuts.
Okay.
Tell me about that.
So the Dads and Donuts, this is an event where we get a bunch of dads together and we do donuts in the morning. We typically do what we call Dope Dads Breakfast Series. So it's a 1 hour event where we have dads come in, we have breakfast catered. Then dad will have a conversation and a topic, and we'll discuss that topic and do a little workshop around that topic. So we enjoy donuts and fellowship and just learning. And are we learning, or in other words, building? Because that's how I look at it. We're just building. We're laying, every time we meet, we're laying a different brick to that foundation to be better. And so it's been a good thing. And I think the Dads and Donuts, tell you something funny. The Dads and Donuts is always interesting with men, because you'll go into the room and all these men are sitting there. Some of the men just sitting there, just mad, just looking like they just angry, don't want to be there, like somebody made them come. Right. And me and Charles, we always laugh about it, because you'll see the room just transform. The room will just transform to where all of a sudden our dads are laughing. They say, "Oh man, that's me. Oh, I do that all the time." They're very engaged in the conversation. So then when we get to the 60-minute mark, the 1 hour mark, we say, it's time, pretty much just ending the conversation, ending the event. It's like, man, why do we got to go? We can't stay and talk a little longer. But we do that because that 1 hour is short, but it's still long enough to be impactful. But it makes you want to come back for the next session. But it's always good to see us just break through the ice of some of these dads, because when I tell you they're coming there just like, man, I don't want to be here, man. I don't even like this class. I don't. This feel like school. But then by the end of it, it's like, this ain't nothing like school. Wow, this is really cool, because it's an environment where it's non-judgmental.
And so does this strip the ideal of some men thinking that, there are certain, that they have their own ideal of what being a man is? Does that help them to redevelop the
Oh yeah, I definitely think it makes you redevelop your whole ideology of manhood. And it's because it's so much collective wisdom in that room. And that's what we always talk about, the power of collective wisdom. So that information is being shared, because sometimes I may think I'm doing a great job, but I hear some information, or somebody shares a gem, and I implement that into my parenting. I tell them all the time, it's certain things that they say, hey, I try to do that differently. And some of those things too, these are first time. Some of these fathers, their father wasn't there. Like, they're trying to break a generational curse. They're trying to break a generational curse, and they're trying everything in their power to be better.
Right. Because, like you said, some of them come in and say, look, I'm already a father. I already know what to do. You know what I'm saying? What you gonna tell me?
That's us as men, though. That's us as men. It's like, man, you can't tell me nothing. But then it's like, but I think the greatest thing too, we always say, we're not the experts. We're not saying, because I'm never talking to you like, hey, I'm perfect, I'm the greatest dad. No, I still struggle. I still have my own battles. I tell them, fatherhood or parenting to me is much like a Google document. It's forever changing. You're adding something, you're deleting something that worked last year may not work this year. It's like, you have to keep updating that information. You have to keep you know, an iron sharpening iron. And I'm not, when dad's in that space, it's not saying you're a bad dad. No, you're a phenomenal dad. You're just trying to be a better dad. It's like you're working to be better.
You say that you needed your daughters more than they needed you.
Yes, ma'am.
Explain that.
I start with my first one. So my first baby, Peyton is 13. I felt like I needed her because she gave me balance. She removed the selfish side of me. Because you know, when you don't have kids, it's you, it's your world. You know. So she gave me balance, and she reminded me or made me understand it's not about you, it's somebody else here. So she gave me the inspiration and motivation to want to be a better version of myself. So that's how she just inspired me from that end. So I needed her from that space. With Amari, she's my 9-year-old. I needed her because I was a parent, but I had never been a custodial parent. And I think she tapped in and made me go from, even when I had Peyton, I think I was still like a boy. I was a young man. I'm gonna say young man. When I got Amari dealing with that space, I became a grown man because it was a different level of responsibility had to come in, because now I'm having to be more organized, more structured, more hands-on, more involved. Definitely just, I mean, it was a totally different shift. So I mean, I look at me and I say, wow, I'm the best version of myself because of that situation. And she forced me to grow up and just to tap into a whole nother side of me that I'm beyond thankful for.
Okay. Good. Excellent conversation. Thank you. What is your favorite quote and why?
The Kobe Bryant quote about trying to inspire people to see the greatness, pretty much that greatness within. I think that's my favorite quote, because even with me dealing with people just in every aspect of my life, I've always wanted people to see the greatness within themselves. You know, because we all have a certain level of greatness. It just has to be tapped into. Everybody has something that this world needs to experience, they need to see, or that it's a tool, or a talent or gift that this world needs. So that's why I love that quote. Just getting people to see the greatness within themselves and inspiring them to see the greatness within themselves.
What's your favorite scripture, phrase, or testimony that keeps you grounded?
Oof. Man, there's so many. I'm gonna go off the top of my head today with what I'm feeling today, because I tell people some things in my life just changed so much. I can say it's my favorite day, it might not be tomorrow.
That's right. That's right.
God will never give you more than you can handle. God will never give you more than you can handle. And I think sometimes it's a lot, but I think we ultimately have to see the light at the end of the tunnel, and knowing that He's given us this journey or this test for a reason. But He's already equipped us with the tools that we need to pass this test. We just have to believe it and truly have that faith. And as people talk about, the faith of a mustard seed. So it's just, you have to just remain positive, but understand He'll never give you more than you can handle.
What is your advice to new dads?
Man, once you find out once you find out you're about to become a dad, go to get as much sleep as you can, because that's gonna change, you know, once the baby comes. So I'm gonna say that before you become a dad. My advice to dads, honestly, is the number one thing is being consistent. Consistently showing up and consistently giving your best effort. And always grant yourself a level of grace. Don't be so hard on yourself, because sometimes we're so hard on ourselves and we're really doing a great job and we don't give ourselves enough credit. So I would say be consistent, and give yourself grace. And just, if you're consistent, I think consistent and you really want to be there, your heart, your mind, all those things will align to give you all the tools that you need. You know, that because that child is like energy, because energy, definitely energy, is because energy is transferable. Even if you don't know what you're doing, but you're trying to do the right thing, that child can feel that. They can feel like, oh, my dad is doing a great job. They can feel it. And so you have to show up with that. But even sometimes within that, you're hard on yourself because you feel like, I'm not doing a good job. No, you're doing a phenomenal job. Keep working, keep growing, and just keep heading in the right direction. But also, too, surround yourself with great men and ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Do not be afraid to ask questions, because no one can judge you, but don't let your family suffer because of your pride.
Because we're gonna ask some questions.
Oh, women gonna ask them. Women gonna don't mind. Don't mind.
No, we're gonna ask that
Some questions,
question.
women gonna ask all the questions. It's not some, all the questions.
Well,
Sometimes we gotta give them a stop. Say, why we ask so many questions? But they gonna ask questions.
do you ever have a time where so I guess, is this like a secret society? Is there ever a time where the mothers do come in and kind of interact and see how the fathers are doing?
Yes. So what we do with the dope dad sessions, we don't let moms in. Because we want to create, we try to create a space to where dads can feel safe, they can feel supported, they can feel like they're not judged. And I think sometimes when you have moms come in certain spaces, they don't want to open up, because I don't know if I open up, those words will be used against me later on. So I don't want to say too much, even though I really want to say a lot, but I don't want to cause any problems later. So we create an environment strictly for men. So no women are allowed. It's strictly men. But we do female sessions. So we do sessions where me and Charles will facilitate sessions for moms. So getting them to look at things from a dad's perspective. But then too, we do co-parenting sessions. So we kind of touch three different areas. So strictly men, we do all women sessions, and we do co-parenting sessions. So we cover everybody. But we want to create a space to where it's just, for the men, we want to create a space of just safety and comfort. Because men, again, like you said in the beginning, we don't have a lot of places we can go to. And then you don't have a lot of brothers who look like myself and Charles. That I think one of our key wins, and it's a lot of people doing fatherhood work, I think that we're relatable. I think people downplay the ability of being relatable. Like we're relatable.
Yes, because you can't have, I'm not saying you can have, but you can't always have an older person talking to a younger person. You have to fill in that gap somewhere where they can feel as though that you're both on the same level in the same generation, that you might understand what they're going on, or not even understand what's going on, just understand their language of what they're saying. Because the language changes every generation.
It does. It does. And I think another thing too is that we're transparent. We're transparent, and we never come in like we just got all the answers. Because I always tell the dads too, much like church, I want to go to church with a pastor that I feel like, oh, you've been through something. Because sometimes the hardest thing is, if you even go, I use the example of church, but even if you go to church, you hear your pastor speaking, and he sounds like he's been great his whole life. It's like, man, I can never be like you. But if you hear, wow, I worked to get here. This is some of my struggles. This is what I still battle with. Now you're like, okay, he's relatable. I can see the growth. So it gives me hope. So that's what we try to do.
Well, thank you, Mr. Clark. It's been very interesting conversation. Everyone, the holiday season is coming up. We have a couple of more days before it begins. I just want everyone to be safe and enjoy the holiday season. And my end quote is, if you want to hear an ultimate truth, you cannot make someone see clarity when they find comfort within their own fog.
True.
Okay.
I just want to tell you, thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for all that you do. Again, I appreciate it.
You're welcome. I'm sorry about my voice, but I hope it gets better.
Man, you'll be just fine. Keep drinking some tea. You're going to be all right. You ain't got to apologize for your voice. Hey, it's fine with me. Just drink your tea and take care of yourself. That's all.